Hello, baseball fans, collectors, and investors, and welcome back to Iconic Baseball. I am Iconic Al, and today I am going to continue on our march toward the number one greatest and most iconic ball player of all time. Today's installment, number 98, covers a player who may not fall on most people's iconic top 100, but I will make a compelling case that he belongs in the company of all-time greats. I'm talking about the 2021 American League MVP. You know him as Showtime, the one and only Shohei Ohtani.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
This man just posted a 9-WAR season. What does that mean? Well, in the world of statistics, WAR, or wins above replacement, is a complex calculation measuring how many wins above the average replacement this guy contributed to the team. So imagine that, 9 wins above replacement. That means with Shohei Ohtani, the Angels won 9 more games in a 162-game season than they would have won if they would have had an average player in his place. It's a striking stat. There are not many 9-WAR seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. We're talking about the all-time greats when you get up into those numbers. Yeah. Probably the most obvious comparison that people are making is with Babe Ruth, a guy who routinely posted 9-WAR seasons and 10-WAR seasons. What makes Ohtani different? What are the similarities between Shohei and Babe Ruth? We'll go into that in some more depth in this video. But if you look at Shohei's numbers for this season, 2021, a clear breakout campaign. He hit 257, which doesn't jump off the page. But he got on base at a 372 clip, which is a little more impressive. He hit 46 home runs, 100 RBIs, scored 103 runs, stole 26 bases. You know, that alone would put him in the MVP conversation. But then also he pitched. In 23 games started, 130 innings pitched. He went 9-2. That's an .818 winning percentage on a sub-500 team. He struck out 156 batters in 130 innings with a 3.18 ERA and a 1.09 WHIP. I mean, this guy on both sides of the ball proved himself to be an all-star. And he was elected to the all-star team as a hitter and as a pitcher in the same year, which is the first time that's ever happened. He started the game as the starting pitcher, and he came to bat in the first inning. Completely unique and novel in this game. We're talking about an exceptional athlete, a rare talent here. Much like Bo Jackson, number 99 on my list, was able to achieve an all-star level of play in baseball while simultaneously playing football at a Pro Bowl level. Shohei has already proven his excellence in 2 separate skills. As a hitter, being elected to the All-Star game, and as a pitcher, starting the All-Star game. This is a rare feat in professional sports. And we forget that Shohei is 27 years old, and he's only going to continue to play and rack up more numbers. We don't know if he's ever going to achieve what he did in 2021 ever again. But even if he doesn't, what we're seeing right now is remarkable. Now let's get into the weeds here with these cards. Why these cards? Well, it came down to 3 things: value, scarcity, and eye appeal. Well, if you start with eye appeal, I'm not a big fan of modern Topps cards. The 2018 Topps cards, the chromes, the designs just don't appeal to me personally. It's just a personal choice on my part. So I like these throwback vintage designs. On the left, you have the 2018 Decal Edge from Topps Heritage. And it's a throwback from a 1969 design. And I just love the black and white pose with the blue facsimile autograph there as the rookie patch in the corner, designating it as a rookie card. And the back is pretty plain, just has the name Shohei Ohtani, number 1 in the set, which is kind of cool. I always like when a card's number 1 in the set. That means they kind of saw something that made this guy special a lot of times. But it's kind of a die-cut edge, which actually makes it a pretty hard PSA 10 to get. I'm going to get this graded at some point because I think it has PSA 10 potential. So when the grading landscape normalizes and comes back to somewhat of a normal situation again, that's a card that I will get graded at some point. Hopefully we'll get a 10 on that. And if you look at the populations on this card, there really aren't a lot of examples graded. I don't know if that says anything about the scarcity of the card or the print run, but there's only 186 of these graded by PSA. 164 got 10s. So it's really pretty a low pop card for Shohei. That was appealing to me. So this one, I think I paid $30 raw for this card at the beginning of the year, 2021, and I'll just hold on to it, sit on it for a while, and then at some point get it graded and see how that turns out. The one on the right here is the Topps Archives, 2018 Topps Archives Shohei rookie. Shows him in a pitching stance. Has that throwback design. Looks like 1959 Topps. A nice stat line on the back with a cartoon. Graded BGS 9.5. Again, I go to BGS for some value because you pay a little extra for that PSA premium. There aren't a ton of those out there either. In a PSA 10, there are 398 of those. Not all that high. Pretty scarce, actually. Even the base. There are more limited parallels of that card, which if you want to break the bank and pay more, you can do that for something a little more scarce. But, for me, for $100, I mean, you can't do much better than that 2018 Topps Archives. I love that card. It's just a beautiful card. Great design, great color. And it achieves my goal of having a card of Shohei as a pitcher and a card of Shohei as a hitter. Okay, the comparison to Babe Ruth. They were two very different players in two very different eras. How did they compare in terms of their two-way ability? Well, Babe Ruth was primarily a pitcher when he came up as a young player. From 1915 to 1917, he was a very dominant pitcher. He was logging 18, 23, and 24 wins a season, with ERAs of 2.44, 1.75, 2.01. Very dominant pitcher. He put up 8.8 WAR as a pitcher in 1916. So extremely dominant. A great pitcher, dominant pitcher. In 1918 and in 1919, he started to transition from being a pitcher to being a hitter. And in those 2 seasons, you can look at his stat line and, okay, then you can see glimmers of maybe what Shohei Ohtani is doing right now. By 1920, Babe Ruth had transitioned. He had gone to the Yankees and become a full-time hitter. And he really didn't pitch beyond that. So Babe Ruth had 2 seasons, primarily, where he was a two-way player. He logged a decent amount of innings and at-bats in the same season. So we're looking at 1918 and 1919. What did Babe Ruth's stats look like in those years where he was pitching and hitting at the same time? Well, in 1918, he started 19 games, 166 innings pitched. He went 13-7 with a 2.22 ERA and a 1.046 WHIP. So pretty good stuff. I mean, 13-7. I mean, it reminds you a little bit of what Shohei's doing. On the other side of the ball, he had 317 at-bats, starting to really come into his own as a hitter. He hit 300 with 11 home runs, which led the league, by the way. In 1918, 11 home runs led the league. 61 RBIs, and a pretty impressive 58 walks to 58 strikeouts, and a 411 on base percentage. So there was a glimmer there of what was to come for Babe Ruth as a hitter. In 1919, he continued that progress as a hitter, moving more toward being a dominant force offensively. He pitched less and less effectively in 1919. So you could see the transition happening of him being a dominant pitcher. And by 1919, he only started 15 games. He went 9-5, still with a 2.97 ERA, but his whip shot up to 1.54. He gave up 148 hits in those 133 innings. So he was getting less effective as a pitcher, and he blossomed as a hitter. That season, he hit 322 with 29 home runs, 113 RBIs, and he was a monster. I mean, Ruth was a 9-WAR player as a hitter, and about league average as a pitcher. So you could see this transition happening, where he was starting as this dominant pitcher, transitioning, and then becoming this dominant hitter, which we would know as Babe Ruth beyond that. He was just an offensive player from 1920 forward. What we're seeing with Ohtani is balance. So we're seeing a guy who, in this past season, was a 4.1 WAR pitcher and a 4.9 WAR hitter. So you have even contribution from the defensive or the pitching side and the offensive side, which compiled him a 9 WAR season total. But he was much more balanced with what he was contributing to the game on either side of the ball. So very different than what Ruth was doing. So you can make some comparisons, but there's also differences in what they did. Just to talk quickly about this Ruth card, this is one of my favorite Babe Ruth cards, or one of the favorite Babe Ruth pieces that I own. This is a 2001 SP Legendary Cuts Babe Ruth bat card. So it's a piece of Babe Ruth's bat in that card from an actual game. So this is a legit MLB game used bat card for Babe Ruth that came out about 20 years ago. A very low population. There's only 11 of them graded by PSA. No 10s in existence. So I will probably grade this card at some point, and I doubt if it gets a 10. But if it did, it would be a pop 1. It would be the only PSA 10 in existence in the world. So that would be something. More likely it gets an 8 or a 9, but always a chance. Anyway, it's one of those cards that I keep in my back pocket and hope for good things in the future. Anyway, I hope this was helpful in comparing Babe Ruth to what Shohei Ohtani is doing in the current game. All right, please subscribe, like, and follow, because we're just getting this channel started, and all of your follows, likes, and subscribes are very helpful. All right, until next time, keep collecting and stay iconic.